back to History Saver 1941. Thank you for joining me. And just wanted to come on because I had a very cool piece of history that I received in the mail earlier this past couple of weeks from our good buddy Black Dog Bob over at Minotaur Trading Company. You can visit them, minotaurtradingcompany.com, get you some awesome rations, some custom rations. And yeah, those guys are doing some great things. A lot of giveaways has been going on there as well. And yeah, so go visit them at minotaurtradingcompany.com or valhallasurvival.com and get you some great rations and other different things. There's a lot of big things coming in the works from those guys, so make sure you stay on top of that. But Black Dog Bob sent me something in the mail that is very cool. It's a piece of history that I do not have in my collection. And honestly, it's a piece of military hardware that I do not know much about at all. It's just one of those vague spots, you know, as we don't know everything, that I really don't know a whole lot about. And in sending this item, I have kind of discovered a little bit. Now, what this item is very old. It is a gas mask from World War I. And as you can see, it is a U.S. gas mask. It's stamped on the top here, U.S. 2. And there's a couple of other stamps on the back with numbers, and then the MK2 right here on the flap here. And then it has a hose, and it is actually marked on the hose on the end, but it's very, very, very faded. But it is noticeable if you really look at it. But this gas mask is very cool because this is one of the few gas masks remaining from World War I. And it is in pretty good shape. Now, naturally, this gas mask did connect to something using this hose, via the hose. And it would connect into a canister, which helped protect the soldier. And that's what filtered out all the poisonous air, allowing the soldier to breathe clean, fresh air. But in researching this gas mask, trying to figure out exactly what gas mask this is, I realized there were quite a few gas masks during World War I that I didn't even realize. And I do have some notes here, so if I look down and I'm reading, excuse me, you can't remember everything off the top of your head. But this is an M2 gas mask. It was originally a French-made gas mask. The M2, original M2 was a French-made gas mask, and it was used by the French, the British, and American forces. The first mask was developed in April of 1916, and to August 1918 is when the MK2 masks were used to. So they used it for the duration of the war, but they had a lot of developments that I noticed on researching on some of the U.S. Army's research materials on U.S. Army gas masks. The first gas masks were fabricated in large quantities, and about 29,300,000 gas masks. These gas masks were originally developed to protect the soldier from 5 hours of exposure to poisonous chemical gas. They were using something called phosgene gas, or phosgene gas, I guess is how you pronounce it, or that's how I'm going to pronounce it. So what I found is that phosgene gas is an organic chemical compound comprising of COCI2. It was a colorless gas in low concentrations. If phosgene gas, which is still used today to make polyurethanes and polycarbonate plastics, if you were to smell phosgene gas, it would basically smell like fresh cut hay or grass. So a lot of times the smell wasn't even noticeable, and you wouldn't even know you were exposed to it. But it was a very poisonous gas and was used as a chemical weapon during World War I by the German army. It was responsible for over 85,000 deaths during World War I. So chemical warfare was extremely dangerous during World War I. The way that the gas worked is it really didn't kill the guys, from what I've researched and read. It sounds like it didn't kill them like that split second, unless they were taking in a very large quantity of the gas, which was pretty much the way it was going. But the way it worked is that if you smelt this gas and you smelt enough of it, it was penetrating the blood-air barrier. And that would cause you to go into pulmonary edema, which means you're going to bleed out, you're going to die. And that is what happened to a lot of these soldiers during World War I with this phosgene gas. The first M2 gas mask was based on the design proposed in 1915 from René Louis Gravreau, who was from Paris. Yeah, that's a French name. Can't really pronounce it that way, that good. But he put in an order of 600,000 masks, and they were produced in February of 1916 and introduced to the British forces in March of 1916, a month later. They produced the first models in only one size, and it was often damaged when it was folded up or put into a metal container. So you would want the gas to fold up, the gas mask to fold up pretty small, and that was damaging the first gas mask. So they had to go back and do something to change that up so it wouldn't damage the gas mask. And they come out with a second model, which was introduced in April of 1916. And it was produced in 3 different sizes and included 2 separate eyepieces, so folding it would not cause damage. And you can see that on this gas mask that Black Dog Bob sent me, because there's 2 different eyepieces inside, and you got the round eyepiece here on the left and right, and then when you fold it, look what happens. It just compacts together, and it doesn't damage the gas mask. So, British forces were issued 6.2 million units of the second model between May and November of 1916, and they used it as late as August 1918. So they used those models throughout the duration of the war. The U.S. entered the war in 1917. The United States come into World War I in 1917, and they were unprepared for chemical warfare. The United States was totally unprepared for chemical warfare at the time. They've never really experienced it. So it just wasn't a big thought. The U.S. Army issued the British-made gas mask that was available, and they issued a small box respirator, which were hanging inside of the gas mask bag on the front of your chest. And the French-made M2 gas mask was to be worn for extended periods of time. So you had 2 different gas masks. You had the one with the small box respirator, which is what it was known as. And then you have the M2 gas mask. Okay, so you got 2 different gas masks, which is, you know, a pretty bad thing in itself. You got to carry 2 gas masks. But what was happening was that as these soldiers were coming under attack, they would throw on these small box respirators, okay? Then, and these things were very uncomfortable. So then they'll notice they're probably going to be in this gas mask for hours on end. So what they would do in the middle of a chemical attack is take the small box respirator off and switch it for the MK2. What would happen is in the middle of doing that, they were exposed to the chemical gases that was being used as chemical warfare, and they would die. Because they'll take that mask off to switch it for this one, and all you had to do was breathe the stuff in and you're gone. So that caused a lot of deaths. And they began to see they needed to improve the gas mask. And that's what they did. Now, from what I've researched, and I could be wrong about this, I believe what we have here, based on everything I've seen, and if someone out there knows gas masks better than me, please correct me if I'm wrong. But from what I believe, from what I have read and seen, is that this gas mask is a Kops Tissot Monroe or KTM mask. Now, in finding that out, it kind of struck me because there were only 2,000 produced, making this one of the rarest gas masks during World War I, if that is indeed what this gas mask actually is. In October of 1918, the best aspects of the Acron Tissot and Kops Tissot mask combined to create the KTM mask. Now, what am I saying? Why am I speaking Spanish here? Okay, before the Kops Tissot Monroe or KTM mask was developed, you had the Richardson Floyd Cops mask, or the RFK mask. And then you have the Akron Tisson mask, the AT mask. And then you have the Cops Tissot mask, the KT mask. So what I'm saying is it is very confusing because you got a lot of gas masks floating around during World War I. I didn't know that until I started researching what in the world this thing actually was. Now, if this is a KTM mask, it was covered by a stockinette material on the mask itself, which goes along with this mask. And it had a rubber face piece, which goes along with this mask, a rubber face piece on the inside. And the new canister that these use, which I do not obviously have the canister that would fit in the gas mask bag and this hose will connect in. The canister was improved. The original canisters contained activated coconut oil or coconut charcoal rather, soda lime, and cotton pads. So you had this box that had coconut charcoal in it, soda lime in it, and cotton pads. And all of that would filter out that poisonous gas as it entered that little box. It would then, fresh air will go up the tube into the mask of the person who was wearing it, giving them fresh air. So this mask, inside of the boxes, they put another filter and a new canister altogether in, which was to filter out more of the smoke, more of the toxic particles. And it is said that KTM mask, this mask, if that is indeed what it is, was the best gas mask ever developed during World War I. Problem is it come at the end of the war, meaning that only 2,000 of these were produced before the November 11th, 1918 armistice. So, with that being said, everything I've researched and read about the KTM mask, gas mask fits the bill of this gas mask. Everything appears exactly the same. So, that would make this gas mask one of the rarest gas masks during World War I and one of the hardest to get your hands on, if that is indeed what this mask is. Now, it is, I'm going to give you some close-up shots of the mask here. Okay, so here's kind of a close-up of the gas mask again. And you can see the eyelets here, they've seen better days. But I'm going to open this mask up the best I can on camera here. And this is basically what it looks inside. You can see, it looks like inside. You can see the rubber material. You can see the two-piece stitching right there. And then, of course, you can't see jack out of the eye holes. And then it's stamped with a number 2 right on the inside there. And then on the front of the gas mask, you see the US 2. And then you have this piece, which coordinated right in with the KTM mask, and it is stamped 193-K25 and that looks like a elf there, MK2. So, and then what is that? Okay, that's just a piece of yellow. Something that's got in there over time. Okay, so there you go. And then I have checked this. I'd see no stamps on any of this portion of it. It is fitted on here with 2 nuts, as you can see. And then you have the hose, which is marked right here. So there you go. So a very cool gas mask and a very neat piece of history here. And as you can see, some of the materials coming off, we're probably going to make sure this thing stays in here and is kept very safe. All the original straps are here, and there's one more stamp on the back strap there. You can't really make out what that says, honestly. But all the straps are original. Every piece of this gas mask is absolutely original, except for the paper that somebody has put on here at some course of time. And we could probably get that off, and we probably will try to do that very carefully because we want to preserve as much of this mask as possible. So there you go. That is the gas mask sent to me by Black Dog Bob that I think is a Cops Tissot Monroe or KTM mask. And only 2,000 of those were produced during World War I. So very cool mask and very cool piece of history that will go into the collection here and be preserved. So thank you so much to Black Dog Bob. Thank you guys for joining me. And for History Saver 1941, don't forget, keep preserving history. Stay safe. We'll see you soon.